What is the science behind fear and how do I overcome fear? In this video, I'm going to take you through all the process. So let's dive right into it. So to really understand fear, we will need to study a key part of the body system, that is the brain. Okay. So neuroscience, well, let's say maybe neuroanatomy, that is the study of the nervous system in simple terms, uh, helps us to understand really what happens in the brain. Okay, so let me give you a quick sketch of the brain before we proceed. Okay, so let's say this is the brain, and then you have the cerebellum and the brain stem. Okay, so the region that we are more interested in is in this aspect, that is the limbic system. Okay, so this is the region of the brain that controls emotions, motivations. We can have emotional association to memory, emotions to memory. Okay, and then, but our key focus or our main focus is going to be inside this system, where you have the amygdala. Okay, so they are in pairs. Okay, one is on the other side of the lobe of the other half of the brain. Okay, so they're in pairs, and this, although their size is almost like the size of a fingernail, they are very powerful in that they are the ones that is responsible for processing, or this is the region where emotion is processed. And the emotion that we're focusing more on here is what? Fear. Okay, so this is what's actually responsible for it. Okay, so in a normal sense, the nervous system communicate through electrical impulses. Okay, so messages are sent, okay, from the brain stem. Let's say there's a message processed in the brain. So from the brain stem, let's say there's the brain stem, it flows to all the other parts of the body. Okay, that is what normally happens in the brain in terms of communication. Okay, but now when you're confronted with fear, something happens. So first of all, we must understand that fear is simply an emotion. Okay, it is a feeling that is caused by actual perceived, okay, it's a feeling that is caused by an actual or perceived danger or threat. Okay, so it's simply a feeling. Okay, so fear is a feeling that is that is caused by an actual or perceived danger or threat. Okay, so, and we know that fear is an emotion, and that the part of the brain that is responsible for processing the information is in the limbic system, but most importantly, the one that is responsible for the fear is the amygdala. Okay, so, okay, let's quickly erase this. Okay, so when you fear, what actually happens? When you fear, what actually happens? Okay, so when you're confronted with fear, what actually happens is that amygdala, it triggers a chemical reaction. Okay, a chemical reaction. So usual so I told you before, in a normal sense, that the brain so I told you before that in the normal sense the brain communicates using electrical impulses, but then when fear is triggered, okay, when an emotion or a feeling of actual danger, okay, an actual or perceived danger, okay, what happens is that the amygdala, it triggers a chemical reaction that releases adrenaline and cortisol. Okay, so these are stress hormones. Okay, so when you fear or your brain perceives that something is actually making you afraid, the amygdala quickly or initially, what it does is that it quickly initiates or triggers a chemical reaction that releases this adrenaline and cortisol. That is why when you fear, you immediately start feeling, you start seeing sweat around your body. Okay, you start feeling stressed. Okay, you have the tendency of running away. Anxiety comes in. Okay, so you see the constant blinking of the eye of the person. Okay, so all of these things is released because of what? The amygdala. Okay, so it sends the chemical reaction, okay, through the blood, through the brainstem into the various part of the body. So you start feeling those kinds of, you start feeling, okay, let's say this is you. So the amygdala triggers the chemical reaction, and then it flows from the brainstem to all the other part of the body, and then you start feeling sweaty, and all of those emotions start to come into you. So what it's doing is actually preparing you for danger. Okay, so usually that is why when people want to try something or they want to engage in something, immediately they feel that fear. They feel that, oh, can I do this? Can't I do this? I can. Okay, that feeling. They start having that feeling within them. Okay, that sweatiness. Or let's say, for example, you're supposed to talk in front of a whole congregation, or you're supposed to talk in front of all people. You start to sweat. You start feeling nervous because your brain detects, okay, there's something out there that is posing some kind of danger or discomfort to you. Okay, so let's say for example, your eye sees the information, then sends it to the brain. Okay, so the brain, the information coming is signaling fear. It's signaling fear. Okay, so that information quickly goes and then is processed in the amygdala. Okay, the amygdala initially and triggers a chemical reaction that releases the adrenaline and the cortisol. Okay, so that is what happens, okay, when there's fear, or when you start to fear, or when there's a signal of fear. That is what happens. But now there is another part of your brain here, this portion. Okay, this portion here. So this, it's called the frontal cortex. Okay, cortex. Okay, so so in your, you have, it's, this whole thing is the cortex, and then it's divided into different parts, but the part we are more focused in is the frontal cortex of the brain. So the core of it is the cortex, and then so the frontal cortex is the one that is actually responsible for rational rational thoughts and problem solving. Okay, so it's located right above your eye. Okay, let's say this was your eye. Okay, so like your forehead, so you have the frontal cortex there. So this is responsible for your conscious rational thoughts and problem solving. Okay, so according to researchers find out that when your body or your brain, let's say the brain to be more specific. Okay, so when your brain receives a signal of fear, it doesn't only go to to the amygdala, it also goes to the frontal cortex. So this is the fear. Okay, so it goes to the amygdala, and then it also goes to the it also goes to the frontal cortex. But what really happens is that when the signal or the signal of fear comes, okay, the time rate at which it gets to this place is longer than when it gets to the amygdala. Okay, so let's say for example this is the signal of fear that is entering into the brain. Okay, so it first goes to the amygdala before it reaches the frontal cortex. Okay, so this is another part of your brain that that helps you in, as I said before, problem solving, also rational thinking. Okay, but then when the fear signal comes, it comes to the amygdala first. Okay, this is why sometimes occasions come that you may find yourself in a particular situation, and then immediately you want to run away, but within a time lapse, or let's say within some few seconds, or from some few minutes, you just realize okay, wait a minute, this is not a scary situation, why do I want to run away? So you see, that's switch. What really happened is there, when the threat came. Okay, let's say for example you saw an animal running in. Okay, and then automatically the idea of what comes into your mind is a run away. Okay, so that information goes to the amygdala, and the amygdala triggers the adrenaline and the cortisol that makes you want to run away. But then that information also goes into the frontal lobe. Okay, but it comes here first before it gets here. Okay, so you want to run away, but then after some few seconds, you some rational thinking comes into your mind, and then said, okay, this is not, I shouldn't be running away from this, it's not necessary for me to run away, why don't I stand and face the situation or something like that. Okay, so that is what the problem solving and your rational thought that is happening. Okay, so um, so science or research tries to look for ways in which you can reduce the time lapse between these two, between the information coming from the amygdala to the frontal cortex. Okay, so for some individuals, the information as it comes to the amygdala, it takes a lot of time before it gets to the frontal cortex. That is why when they're faced or confronted with a particular when they are faced or confronted with a particular situation, they immediately run away or leave the situation or say, I can't do this, I can't do this. They don't even think or pay more attention or be more rational about it because of the time frame, okay, from the amygdala to the frontal. The okay, the time frame for the information or to get from here to here, it's longer. That is why it depends or varies from individuals. This is why some people, when they are confronted, let's say for example the army, they train them well enough so that they can discipline themselves because they face situations where they have to make decisions within a time frame of second. If you make a wrong decision and you're in the army, you're supposed to shoot someone and you didn't shoot, it can cost you your life. You're not supposed to shoot someone, you shoot a person and then it costs you your life. It costs the life of that person. Okay, so as they train them, they put them under real serious mental training. They cut the time frame that it takes for them to make those rational decisions. Okay, so instead of responding with just fear and making the wrong decision, the time lapse it takes for them to develop a rational decision is very quick, so they are immediately able to think, okay, I have to do this way, this way, this way, this way, this way. It's different from us as human beings. Okay, and then so the brain is quite a very powerful machine. You can't even compare the computer to the brain. Okay, it's just, the brain is just amazing. The question we ask ourselves is that, how do I cut the time lapse? Okay, how do I cut the time lapse from the time lapse that happens from the amygdala to the frontal cortex? Okay, how do you reduce that time? Okay, so if it takes you 5 seconds to make a decision, or it takes you 5 minutes to make a rational decision when you have fear, when you find yourself in a position of fear, how do I reduce that time to be able to make a decision within 1 second or 1 minute, okay, of my time? How do I think quickly? How do I think smart? And then so now, how do I reduce the time lapse from the amygdala to the frontal cortex? Okay, so research has given us 4 key ways on how to actually cut the time lapse or reduce the time lapse where you have to make a rational decision when you find yourself in the position of fear. And the first one, it says, is what? Goal setting. Okay, so how do I limit fear in my life? The first one is what? Have goals. Okay? Have goals. It really helps you to know what it helps you to what to focus. Okay, it helps you in achieving or knowing what exactly you are trying to do. Okay, so today this is what I want to do, then I want to do this, I want to do that, and it creates a map for you, a focus map. Okay, so it keeps you in track. So regardless of when the fear comes, regardless of when the trials come, regardless of when you are faced with oppositions that and the thoughts come that you can't do this, you can't do this, you can't do it, your eyes or your focus is simply on your goal, that thing that you want to achieve. So it really helps you to keep you in focus, so that what when the fear comes, you know that this is what I want to achieve, and then nothing stops you. The second one is what? Mental rehearsal. Okay, this is what? Visualization. Okay, so what is it? What it means? Seeing everything in your mind before you actually do it. Okay, so I've done this a lot of times. Sometimes we do most of these things without even knowing what we're actually doing or the science behind all of this. So example, when I have a presentation to do, before I even do the presentation, I imagine myself, I close my eyes and imagine myself before a lot of people, before the congregation or before the audience, and then what, giving my speech or giving what I want to actually say. What I'm doing here is a mental rehearsal, it's a visualization. I'm pre-planning myself, pre-planning my brain for what I'm actually coming to do. And then when I find myself now in the real situation, it becomes easier for me to do, because what, I've already practiced it, I've already visualized everything inside my brain for me. It limits the fear. Okay, so you're not visualizing anything, you just come straight into the audience. You don't even know how you're going to say, how you're going to start, how you're going to do this and do that and that. It brings fear, it brings different ideas, brings different thoughts into your mind, it puts you in a state of confusion. But you know this is what you're doing. A lot of people apply this technique, but mainly most of them don't actually know the science behind it or what they're actually doing. Some do know it. Okay, I'm trying to build myself, I'm trying to prepare myself. Okay, so it's simply mental rehearsals. You are training your brain, you're preparing your brain for what it is actually about to face, or what is actually about to see. The other one is what? Self talk. Okay, so you need to talk to yourself. Okay, you need to encourage yourself, you need to keep saying a lot of positive things. You need to keep saying a lot of positive things to yourself. Okay, you can say positive things, you can say negative things to yourself, and they are all going to affect you through and through situation. Okay, so what you think of yourself is what you become. That's simple. So if you keep saying I can't do it, if you keep saying I can't make it, you are sending those negative signals, those negative frequencies. Okay, you're sending negative sequences to your brain. Okay, telling your brain that you can't do this, you can't do this, you can't do it, and your brain will be readjusting for you, telling you you can't do it, you can't do it. Okay, let me divert a little bit before I give you the fourth point. Okay, so in pharmacology. Okay, so in pharmacology, that is what the study of drugs and their effect. We're looking at drugs. Okay, and their effect. There is a term called the placebo effect. The placebo effect. Now, what this simply means is what is the tendency for a medication. It's the tendency for a medication to work because the recipient believes that it will work. Okay, so what the placebo effect simply means, what the tendency for a medication to work because the recipient believe that it's actually going to work. Okay, okay, so this is the patient. The patient is suffering from a particular illness. Okay, let's say the patient is suffering from a particular illness, and then has to go for surgery. Okay. Okay, let's say for example the knee of the person has a problem, and then the person has to go for surgery. Now what placebo effect is? What is the tendency for a medication to work because the recipient believes it will work? And then what that simply means is that the brain of the recipient, or that they are come to do the surgery upon, believes that what they are about to do for me is actually going to work. Okay. And then there have been a lot of researches that has been conducted in this, where doctors do not even give the correct medication to the person the surgery is supposed to happen upon, but because they believe that it's actually going to work for them, the surgery actually works for them. So you see individuals where they are simply just giving chalk. Okay, where they are simply just giving they are not giving the real medication itself that is actually going to solve the problem. Let's say the person that is supposed to undergo a knee surgery, the person that's supposed to undergo a knee surgery is not even giving the correct or the proper treatment for the knee surgery. But let's say for example they just do a few incisions, they just do a little cuts on the leg of the person. So because the person thinks that the surgery is going to work, it actually works for them, and this has been proven. You see? So it is the power of the brain, the belief of the brain. As I said, the opposite of fear is what? It's faith. That's what you believe that it's possible, that it can happen, and then it will happen for you. And then the opposite of the placebo is what? The nocebo. Okay? The nocebo is the opposite, the effect. So you have this individual here. Okay, so this person believes that I can catch a particular illness. Okay, so you keep stressing your mind with a lot of mental keep stressing your mind with a lot of mental or sickness signals. I'm going to get the sickness, I'm going to get the sickness. So now what your brain does is that your brain contributes to that thoughts that you keep on having, and what you start seeing the symptoms. You start seeing the symptoms of that illness. Okay, so a person believes that, oh, I'm going to have malaria, I'm going to have malaria. You keep telling yourself that you're going to have malaria. What happens is that you start seeing the symptoms of malaria start happening. The same thing for any other kind of disease that comes into place, because you believe that, okay, you're going to have this thing, and then your whole body, your whole consciousness keeps telling that you're going to have the sickness, you're going to have the sickness. You start the brain, okay, this guy wants some sickness, and then what? You start seeing those symptoms of the sickness in you. So most of the time, a lot of people do not have a particular sickness, but because of fear, because they believe they are going to have it, because they believe they are going to catch the sickness, they start seeing the symptoms, and eventually it happens to them. The same thing with the placebo effect too. Okay, so you believe that you can receive the cure about it. You believe that you can receive the cure, and then you actually have the cure. This is what these hallucinations. Okay, people that hallucinate individuals, this is how they play with their minds. They play with their belief. You believe something so much that they can actually twist it for you, and then you think, wow, this is real magic, while it's just all on the mind. Okay, so back to it. As I said before, the how do I deal with this fear? The first one was what? Goal setting. The second one was having a mental rehearsal, that's visualization. The other one is self-talk. Talk to yourself, say positive things about yourself. I'm not going to fear anymore, I'm not going to do this, I can be the best, I can do this, I can do that, I can do that. Encourage yourself, even if no one is encouraging you. Encourage yourself, push yourself, put your foot. And the other one is what? um Arousal control. What this simply means is what? Taking deep breaths. So most of the time we do this, but we just do it because it's like it's started in us. It is like it is hard coded in us, or then we learn it from other people. Okay, before you want to do something, or something that you know it's really serious, you take a deep breath. So you can be advised, okay, take a deep breath, take a deep breath, take a deep breath, take your time. Okay, so deliberately slowing your breath. Okay, so let's say for example, you're supposed to score a goal. Okay, so you as a player, what you do is that you take a deep breath. You calm yourself down, you slow your breath down, you slow your heartbeat, so that what it can help you in making the right decision, so that you can actually effectively shoot the ball. The same thing with basketball. Okay, so yeah, you have the ball, so you take your time, you breathe in properly, so you can throw it and then throw the ball into the net. Okay, so these are things that we do without even actually knowing or actually realizing all of it. Okay, so GMSA. Okay, so take a deep breath, give yourself goals, so you know your target, your focus. um the other one is what? Your mental rehearsal, visualization. Do it in your mind before you actually do it out. Okay, it helps you a lot. Self-talk, talk to yourself, motivate yourself. Okay, so as you're motivating yourself, those you are sending those signals into the limbic system. The limbic system is a place where emotions are processed, also motivation. Okay, so you're changing everything about yourself. And then what? Arousal, breathe in, breathe out. Okay, so in doing this constantly, it helps cut the time lapse between the amygdala and the frontal cortex. Okay, so it won't take that long for you to make a rational decision or to make a correct decision without actually involving fear or being too scared that okay, this can't happen or this can't happen. I can't make it out. So I hope you learned something. Um, so you have fear that is simply an emotion. You have the amygdala, you have the frontal, you have the frontal cortex. Okay, so both of these receive signals of fear, but it comes here first. This ignites a chemical reaction. It triggers a chemical reaction that releases the adrenaline and cortisol, making you fear, making you start to sweat, making you want to retreat back. But then this information also flows into the frontal cortex that makes you think, what do I actually need to do? It makes you reason, it makes you make correct decisions. Okay, it makes you help decisions. Okay, so within that time frame of making the decision, okay, and the fear, that is where this method comes into play. The GMSA: set your goals, mental reasoning, mental rehearsal, self-talk, and what? Arousal, breath. Okay, so I hope you learned something about fear today. And then there's a key part or a key text that I love so much that talks a lot about this thing. That lot talks a lot about the effect of fear. So in if you have the in James chapter 1 verses 7 to 8, it says, "For let no man think that he shall receive anything from the Lord. A double-minded man is unstable in all his ways." Okay, you are a person. Option A, option B, option C, option D. Okay. What? Don't think that when you're praying to God that you're going to receive anything from Him, because what? You have a lot of doubts in you. You are not sure of yourself because why? You lack goals. Okay. You lack focus. You don't actually know what exactly you want. Okay, so you have a lot of people in life, they don't actually know what they want in life. Okay, they're just following after people. Oh, you can be good at this, why don't you do this? Okay, I'll go in for it. They go in and find out that they have no passion for it. Okay, they jump out of it, jump into another thing. Take your time, sit down, relax, cut off everything, and think, what is me? I know this is a bad English, but what are you? Or what is me? Okay. What is my passion? What do I love to do? Even though I'm not paid for it, even though uh even though people laugh at me, even though people score me, things I can do without even eating or without even paying attention that okay, I haven't slept and all of those things. Okay, what is it that you want? You need a clear focus. What do you want? Not what people want. Okay, so mainly base their life on opinions of men. Okay, do this, do that, do this, do that, do this and do that. So they keep going in different direction, keep going in different direction. They end up doing nothing, they end up not fulfill anything. So they die with what the gifts and the visions that is inside them. That's why it said that the grave is what is the place with the richest minerals, because what there are a lot of people that die with potential, that die with industries, that die with visions, that die with nations inside them, that die with inventions that can change the world, all because of what fear, all because of what procrastination. I will do it later, I will do it later, I will do it later, I will do it later. Procrastination is very dangerous. Do what you're supposed to do now. Live your life as if today is the last day of your life. Okay. Once you start developing the mindset that tomorrow I might not have the chance to do this, then you start doing things that is actually necessary for you to do. And I hope you love this video. And so let go of the fear, set your goals, motivate yourself, visualize anything that you want to do, key into the power of imagination. And this really helps a lot. Imagination, forecasting yourself. In business management, we are taught this, okay? So have a forecast of your vision, or have a forecast of where you want to be, okay? And bring that into the present and start working onto it. That is what you have: your goals, you have your objectives. Okay, you have your long-term goals, you have your short-term goals. I want to do this. This is where I want to be, and this is where you are now. Your present state, that is your mission state. Your vision state is where you want to be. So look into your vision state, see where you want to be, bring that idea or bring that thought, bring that vision down into what your mission state, and then walk towards it. What is the right strategies that I can put into place? What is the right course of actions? Okay, what is the blueprint that I need in order, uh, the blueprint I need in order to achieve this things? Okay, so that was just a little basic on business administration, but you need to focus. You need to have a clear vision, and I hope you enjoyed this video. Please share it around with people, and don't forget to subscribe. It helps me a lot in the channel. And then I hope the next time we meet, you will have conquered fear and then push forward in everything that you do. So it's very key or very important for us to understand our brain, understand who you are. Okay, so it helps you a lot. So till we meet again, bye. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and please feel free to subscribe and then share it out. It really helps us here on the channel. So see you next time.